Tonight we have the author of a wonderful, wonderful book, A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, Ditto Montiel.
I don't know what drove me to write it. I don't know how to spell very good, or punctuation is a nightmare. And but I just started writing stuff in pen.
Well, Ditto and me've been through a 4-year journey together, so we know each other pretty well.
I had an opportunity because of whatever, my day job to bring a bit of attention, and that's all it really needed.
But I just, I want to remember who these people are and what they meant to me. What they mean to me. And they're real.
A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints is based on a true story. A story written by Ditto Montiel, who is the writer-director of the movie that we're making. The story is really a coming-of-age story set in Queen's Astoria in the 80s. The project was brought to me by Robert Downey, and I read it as a book first of all.
Book came out on this tiny, ridiculous indie thing, tiny, like 50, Then Robert Downey, the actor, came over and said, let's make a movie, and it sounded kind of interesting, like, wow, yeah, you're famous,
Ditto and I kind of grew up together in New York, except I was already in Manhattan, so I kind of knew him after his, the main meat of his Astoria upbringing.
Says your name is Titi or Chiti or Rodito. And you guys are gonna do a band, huh?
I thought was going to sing.
Oh, how gay. I mean, great. So is this gonna be like Lionel Richie, or you guys rock out?
Nah, Frank, we're going to be hardcore like Black Flag.
He was in this band Gutter Boy, and I used to go watch them rehearse, and they were all absolutely insane. There was always drama around them, that's all I remember. No matter what time of day or when or where you saw them, there was always something that had just happened or was about to happen, and which I found admirable.
Robert's Mercury, mercurial. He's so quixotic. He's so witty and fast brain. So Robert Downey's brain is like that. Ditto Montiel's brain is like that. They go a mile a minute. These guys, they're always creating, and they can drive you insane as a producer.
His book, and you couldn't even really call it a book, it's kind of a series of disjointed, brilliant vignettes, was so alluring, and I saw that there was, a real voice in there of kind of an auteur.
And your mom, she didn't think you'd come back. She told me that, she tells everybody about your book.
And over 3 years, really, we refined the story.
But we started talking about how to make the thing, and then, originally somebody had written a synopsis or a treatment, and it was horrible. It was like this, Vinny and the Mafia somehow got into my story, and it was like a big cartoon, and I was like, well, if you give me $1 million, you can do whatever you want with it, but if not, let's try and make it something sense. And then we talked a lot about how to do it, and started coming up with an outline. And
well, I mean, the hardest thing about this, obviously, is that the book he wrote is an autobiography, and that covered his whole life up to that point. A film, you can't tell a whole life story because it's just too much going on. I mean, you need to focus in on a certain part of it, and that was the real challenge with this script, is finding what story we wanted to tell.
And then at the time, everyone sort of liked the outline, and the guys who wrote Sexy Beast, I think, were going to write it, or something like that, or there was some talk of it, and I was terrified that I wasn't going to get a chance, and the talk was, oh, you're too close to it. I said, yeah, it's my freaking name, And so then I tried to write one,
Ditto has been a unique experience working with a writer. I've never worked with anyone like him. I mean, the classic thing, you get a phone call, in the middle of the night from LA where he was working with some absolutely crazy ideas of what he wants to do and everything else. And you'd be like on the phone with him for a couple of hours and hang up and you think, right, okay, well that's him sorted out for a few weeks, maybe a month or two, and we'll see what the next draft looks like. And literally, like the next day, a new draft would land on your desk and it would be fantastic. And you'd come up with these crazy ideas, and sometimes we had to sort of rein him back in and say, look, we've got to have a really clear story here.
You gotta go there for me, all right? Please, okay? Please. Can't do anything here.
As certain of us remember, the workshopping process of this script was a comedy and a tragedy and impossible and necessary because it didn't easily translate because it was so nonlinear. Nonetheless, the linear version of it didn't work either. So it's kind of like it had to go through a couple different rinses and cycles of theory and execution,
Then it all started happening with rewrites and ideas and Sundance and working with you and working with 10 million people. It's crazy.
And it's based on really his story that he has a passion for telling in a way that it really happened, and also in a way that makes it great entertainment. And those are the challenges, to really get the story accurately told, but told in a very stimulating, original way.
Great. Originally, the idea was to have nobody famous in the movie, probably because I didn't think anybody famous would ever show up, And then the idea of, Robert Downey started it all off. Robert Downey, actually, at first I was afraid wasn't going to be right. I was like, how do I tell the movie star who's actually making this thing happen that he's not right, And I was trying to figure out how to tell him, and then we went to go make this short, and I just was afraid that if you put a gorilla suit on Robert Downey, it's still a gorilla who knows a good book. And the guy I wrote doesn't know a good book, that's for sure. I didn't think. But it ended up turning out that he was more right for the job than I ever could have thought.
After Robert signed up, Rosario Dawson came on board to play the adult Laurie, and then Chaz Palminteri to play Monty.
Chaz Palminteri's great, but I was originally not that excited. I was like, Chaz, yeah, he's great. I love him in movies, but Monty is in the Mafia, or any of that, and the nerve of me to think that, really, because then when I met him, he was just the best, and we were talking, and I was like, Monty's a lonely guy. He's lonely. He's no friends, no male friends. He loves when the kids come over, and then Chaz just called me back over a few minutes later, and he was the best. He just said, man, I hadn't thought about that. He said, I got an idea. And he says, come back in a few minutes. And I came back about 20 minutes later, and from head to toe, he was Monty, and he never left, and it was just something special to watch, and that's it. That's what acting is, I guess. I underestimated it.
I was just, your mother, she, went for a walk. She gets excited. You okay? Sure.
And Ditto is being moved to tears sometimes to see his father created by Chaz. They had a very close relationship on set. And Diane Wiest, double Academy Award winner, comes on to play Florrie. So we have this sort of stellar adult cast and some really strong actors for the kids, led by Shia LaBeouf, star of Holes, and Shia's going on to do big studio projects.
And I met Shia a bit ago in New York, in Los Angeles, and I didn't want him to be in my movie. I don't want anybody in my freaking movie. And I didn't want him to be in my movie. I met him, and he was a cool guy, and we had some pizza in Los Angeles, and I was like, hey man, good to meet you, but whatever. And then out here, back here, we were getting ready to make the film. the person he works with, I spoke to her, and she said, Shia really wants to send you a tape. He wants to do an audition. I said, you could send it, but he's wasting his time. I mean, I like him. He's a great actor, but he's not right for this movie. And he sent me a tape that blew me away, and I said, all right. Now he's in the movie. You know, it's crazy. I mean, he's playing like the lead kid. My other actors, Eric Roberts, and Rosario Dawson.
I got this script through my manager called A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, and I was like, long title, and then I read it, and it's just so powerful, and I wish that I could have gotten this script when I was 15 years old, right after Kids, because I would have loved to have played someone like this. And it's kind of the first time being able to play an older version of someone. So I got cast first, which left them the trouble of trying to find someone who looked like me when I was younger.
Which Melanie Diaz is playing the young Laurie.
I've been auditioning for this film for like 2 years. Like, Ditto had like 300 trillion like girls, and I was like in the first round, and then like in the second round, and then kind of just got it.
Channing is playing Antonio. Another guy, wasn't so sure of. Turns out to be great. He's freaking brutal.
I read scripts in my bathtub. It's weird, but I do it, and I just, as soon as I cried my eyes out, I laughed my ass off. I cried my eyes out, laughed my ass off, and throughout the whole thing, more times than I ever have in any script.
Fucking guy picked up a chair and threw it through a glass, and he shattered the whole freaking room with Diane Weiss walking around barefoot. And you can't not love an actor for doing that. So I love it, and I love him.
Martin Compston is a fantastic actor, Scottish actor. And when we started to talk about Mike O'Shea, I talked to Ditto about Martin and said, can he be Scottish Mike and not Irish Mike? And he said, why, who you got in mind? I talked about Martin. He said, the kid from Sweet 16? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, man. He said, he's it. Do you think anyone can understand him?
No joke, everything that could have went wrong before getting the part went wrong. You know, first the movie disappeared, then I got the call, and the only place I could film an audition was like in the Orkney Islands, which is miles away from me. I had to fly to Orkney to do an audition for God's sake, and then I couldn't get a work permit. Then there was things with SAG about the union, and I'm just like, I ain't getting the movie. You know, I'm just giving up. And then I just got the call saying, you're going, man. And the next day I was on a plane to New York. You know, that's what I love about my job. You don't know what you're going to be doing one day to the next. And I'm just having such a great time.
The younger cast have really been creating their roles very much within an ensemble. We've kept them all together. They're in many, many scenes together and have been improvising quite a lot. And consequently, there's a sort of like an organic energy that has grown amongst them.
You work with Ditto, and it's not like, especially on this film, because it's his life. You're not asking him questions like, what do you think the character is? You're asking him questions like, who is Nerf? Not who do you think Nerf was? You work on other projects, it's like, hey, what do you interpret the character as? And then it's 50-50. The actor has 50% of his creativity, the director has 50% of the story and the character. This is completely different. The story and the characters are real.
It's very documentary style, very like, you're just there with them. You're just kind of there with these kids. You're not no trick photography, and you're just kind of there as a third party or whatever. You're just kind of there with them. I think it's beautiful.
You know, it's like real memories, real instances, and you don't want it to be contrived because it's based on a reality. You know what I mean? But I think like the script in general, it just has, there's so many truthful moments, so it's kind of hard to lie. Like, I think he did a good job casting. Like, I feel very much like Laurie. And I feel very connected to Shia in that way. Like, we just have good chemistry. He did a good job of, like, casting people that he knew that would bond and would make the story come alive.
But Ditto's just so chilled out. It lets you have your own take on the character. It talks to you about everything. It has the right amount of getting out of you what he wants, but letting you express yourself. And he's not at all, like, precious about the script. He realises that, especially in a movie like this, improvising is so necessary to make it look natural. Because if it's all scripted, it just ain't going to work.
The way Ditto is making us work is so natural.
so simple. It's just like I get on set, I relax, and I just let the scene happen, taking my, my work from the other actors and just reacting. I mean, there's a lot more freedom, because you're not thinking about, oh my god, I have to hit that line, I have to hit that mark, I have to say that line so that he can say his. It's more spontaneous, more in the moment, which is what, that's what life is about. It's like, well, that's what acting is about. That's what filmmaking is about. It's about recreating real moments, real instances, and I think that enables us as actors just to go there. You know what I mean?
It's like going to acting class for a little bit. You know what I mean? You have someone who's just sort of like just breaks it down. It's so much fun, and the improv, the intensity is there. It can just go any different direction while still feeling very focused. And you don't normally get that, especially when you're just sort of like thrown in and you're just like, hi, just met, action. And Ditto also has a really great quality of being able to manifest that himself, because he's so present all the time and his energy's so up, and it's been really great, actually. Wow. Monty's son.
That's me.
You know what? You're Florey's son as well. And that's why you're all fucked up.
Yeah, I'm all fucked up.
What, you think you're going? You gonna fucking leave? Go ahead, fucking go. You're not gonna go. You didn't fucking come all the way over here so you could fucking leave again.
You don't know. You don't know what it was like at the house. Okay?
Listen,
Okay.
you want it straight? Because I'm the only fucking one who's gonna tell you for some fucking reason. Alright? You killed him. You killed your father when you left.
And the people he's casted are not based on stardom. It's based on performances. This whole movie is performance driven. It's all performance, it's pushed by performances. Because there's nothing else. The storyline is basic, the characters are complex, which makes the movie great.
What we have in Eric Gauthier is a DP who never repeats himself stylistically. Our movie does not look anything like Motorcycle Diaries. Does it look as good as Motorcycle Diaries? Yes, every bit. But it's found its own stylistic way through the way that the movie has grown organically.
DP's he's a genius. So I mean, it's not like he could film a tennis ball rolling down the street and it would probably win an award.
And the 86 story looks very different from the modern day story. What Ditto wanted from the 86 story was a freneticism. And so we got a lot of unlocked shots, a lot of mise en scène, a lot of kids all talking at once.
She wants to go to White Castle, right? This fucking bitch loves going to White Castle. Fucking White Castle, White Castle, White Castle.
Lori!
Hey, where you going?
So there's a great energy in the 86 story, whereas the modern stuff is told in a more linear, more classic way.
Your mom said you were coming into town.
Yeah, I'm gonna see my father, and yeah, Nerf told me, you'd be here in your corner.
My corner, Nerf. Wow.
Wow. Lori, you look beautiful.
But as far as playing him, I always hesitated, but then it's changed so much. By then he was like, no, it's not me, The whole thing, he says, no, it's embarrassing, Clearly not embarrassing enough for him to not go shoot it.
Ditto's the most cocky cat in the world. Who else writes a movie about themselves and makes it? Right? I mean, really think about it, right? Only the most cocky of cocky do that. But he's humble. And that's the extreme of Ditto.
But it is a great story, And it's cool it's a true story, but at this point it's more just like it's the story. It's the story of Ditto, and it's not even Ditto anymore.
He's pretty calm now. But look what he's doing. He's doing something great. I mean, who to expect this? He should have been dead, but he's not. So it's a good thing. All the clobberings, all the chaos from the past, he made it here. I mean, all I can say is God bless him. He's a great guy. He deserves nothing but the best.
Because Ditto Montiel is a very brave person. He shouldn't be here. He should be addicted to crack cocaine. He should be dead. The fact that this is called A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints is a testament to the fact that wherever he's gone, there's been this motley crew of unbelievable saints who've reached out and have said, not this way, my friend, it's this way.